Show there's no public comments at this particular time. Let's get approval of the minutes. Who would like to make the motion to approve the minutes from February the 10th?
I move we approve as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussions? All in favor? Move right along. Okay, information items, the financial report. Before we do the financial report, let it be known that we have several members that are out. And at this time, I yield my time back to the president. We're up to the financial report.
Okay, did we do public comments or?
Yes, sir, we can have it.
Don't touch me. Do not touch me. Do not touch me, sir. Do not touch me, please. Do not put your hands on me.
Ronnie, you mind moving over one, please?
You don't have to.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so we already approved the minutes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I will go ahead and start with the financial report.
Okay, in your packet, you will see, there was an additional sheet that was added to your packet with the financial updated statement. Operating is at 116,852. We have the do good CDs and the south side CD. The money market account is reflecting a $2 million difference from last month, which I'll get to that in a second. And then you can see our assets and liabilities. Our do good CDs renew March 24th and April 19th. I need to let you all know that the new rates for do good is 4.1% for 12 months, and the 6 month is at 3.8%. So a little bit less than last year's renewal. Going back to the $2 million, when I took the money over to south side, their rates had changed from last time that we had spoken. I was told that we would be able to get the last year's rate. Unfortunately, they cannot fulfill that rate, and they can only offer a 3 month at 3.8 or 7 months at 3.8. And I did not feel that that was my place to make the decision to go ahead and deposit that $2 million at that lower rate. And I was under the directive that I could only deposit that money at Southside. So we could possibly address having a special call meeting at some point this week, or maybe, early next week, to get that money in a CD immediately.
Okay, so we didn't have this notice because we didn't know about it in time. I think we can talk a little bit about it underneath your report. We can't take any action on it. So we have $2 million in the check.
Yes.
It's not currently in the bank
No.
anywhere. And so Southside does not have the best rates on our options.
So Southside's rate is 3.8% for 3 months or 7 months, and everything else is a lot less than that. First State for the 12 months is at 2.7%, or 3.2% for 65 years, 60 months. Those are, to me, those are not an option. Do good is 4.1% at 12 months or 6 months at 3.8. So
So the best rate is at no good, is that correct?
So, I'm sorry?
Is the best rate at no good?
Yes, sir.
And that still leaves us with enough operating in a money market fund.
Yeah, we have over $1 million. We have $1.25 million.
Good. Okay, so what I'd like to do then is, write down all the options. We'll have to duly notice this one and do a special election. Not election, but meeting to make a decision. I don't want that money sitting out that long, not gaining anything, but, I do agree that putting it right back where it was, lower interest was not a good option. So, any other questions on the financial report?
I have a question on the financial report. I like to see, I think we get quite a bit of money from tax receipts. I like to see it broken out into the months that we receive it, instead of lumped in together.
Sure, and
If we get it, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah, if we get the 70,000, 80,000, whatever amount,
Yes,
I like to see that amount
sure.
in this report.
And I can, Shane, will you note that, please? If you go to, we'll have it reflected on the following page that has the, it's like this.
Ms. Rachel?
Yes.
It's under the actual receipts.
So we will have it detailed out in there. I can give you numbers real quick from October, which is when it is the first quarter. October 21st, we deposited 110, 666 and 33 cents. The November deposit, which was deposited December 4th. The November deposit was 123, 632.79. The December deposit was done on December 30th. It was 152.97. The January deposit was 118,442 and 87 cents. And the February deposit was 143, I think, Cheyenne?
142.
142, 142. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
And that's kind of interesting. February is not usually a month that has that kind of month to it.
Historically, it was, I think, 110 last year at this time. So for February.
Okay. So that's it's 20,000 more than what I would call the average.
This is, this amount that we deposited in for February was the highest that I've seen over time. So,
And these usually run, about 30 days behind?
yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, can you expound on the real estate mortgage?
I'm sorry, what?
Can you expound on the real estate mortgage?
No, because I don't know what that is.
It's a negative 20,675.47. Is that right?
I'm sorry, I do not know what that is.
But I'm just saying, it is a negative amount.
It is, and I don't know what it's in reference to.
Where's that line item
Under real estate,
Under the
real estate
liability.
mortgages, liabilities. And then, total liabilities, $13,000, that's positive, and positive was, the negative amount specified in, under real estate mortgages. Do you have a mortgage?
If I recall correctly, this was based off of appraisal values and the discrepancy in the internal appraisal values and the city's appraisal values.
Okay.
I may be misspeaking on that, but you can look into it and we can send an email out to the team.
Yeah, I think we need to go get to that in the next one.
I think that was what it was.
So I believe I heard a question in there, do we have a mortgage on this building?
We do not.
So it has to be some kind of an adjustment.
I think it is the comparables from what they had in the report previously to what, when Kenneth did the research on the property values.
Okay.
I believe that's what it might be, but I can't say that that's what it is for sure.
So we probably need to research it.
Yes.
If that's the case, that's more of an adjustment than it is a loss.
Yes. We'll be more clear in the next report as to what it's for.
All right, any other questions?
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the treasurer's report as presented.
Okay, I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Uh,
Any opposed? Any abstention? Okay, the next one is the board president report. I'll be brief. You know, we're still waiting to hear, from the state, on the response to the RFP that we had. We have not heard anything as of yet. Of course, we have been in the process of interviewing candidates for the executive director. We're actually gonna bring a couple of those people in, hopefully this next week. And for an in-person interview. The interviews we have done so far have been via Zoom. And so we thought it was appropriate to actually bring them in town and actually interview them in person. And, you know, show them the town and a few other things. So we are actively pursuing that, and hopefully we'll have some news for you here pretty quick. That being said, nothing outside the norm other than what's on the agenda that we'll be talking about tonight. But that's all I have for a report, is the update on the hiring process. Any questions? Okay. Next, we'll go to committee reports. Any committee chairs that have anything to report?
The finance committee met last week. We went over the proposed budget that was submitted to city council. We went back over that and we were noting numbers, and you can, I think those numbers are in here. Did we include those?
Yes, so on the second page of your board packet, you'll see the spreadsheet. The first column is our, budget categories. The second column is our approved budget for fiscal year 2026. The second column moving over that says proposed 25 through 26 are the, proposed adjustments that the financial committee poked around and looked into. Do you want me to finish or you want to get
I think there were a few things that we did adjust, and as you go down the first two columns, you can see where, in the first section, things are the same, but we do anticipate having more interest on the CDs that is not reflected in the 26 proposed. We're already at the amount in third quarter, or second quarter hasn't even ended yet, so we're above, the proposed amount for the interest on the CDs. Sales tax, it looks like we're running about the same. We might be over maybe $100,000 to $200,000 going forward, but we'll have to monitor that going forward. Rent is the same for the airport, and then going down the expenses, general supplies, because there's, obviously we're gonna need to replace some of the office, supplies for doing business here, i.e. a hole punch. But there's several things that are going to need to be replaced. As far as travel with the admin, we left that the same. We did increase our insurance and bonding, however, I this year is our $500 bond, which is, I believe is due in September, possibly October,
Okay.
but that might flow into next fiscal, so, at this point, we're good on the insurance. Going to audit and bookkeeping, we're unsure as far as, what the CPA may or may not, may charge us, so we'll just let that roll right now, as we don't have any expenses towards that line item. Consultants staying the same. Telephone communications staying the same. Legal fees, we are above our anticipated amount at this time by about $7,000 plus the bill that we received today. So we need to adjust that line item. And going forward, I believe that Mr. Getz will only be attending meetings upon request. Is that correct?
Yeah, I reached out to him today. He has been attending our meetings and we've got all this stuff going on, so I'm not saying that was not necessary. However, it really wasn't budgeted, so I had asked him not to attend tonight's meeting.
Okay.
That doesn't mean we're not gonna use him when we need to, just we're saving the expense of him driving down and to be frank, our meetings have lasted longer than what they needed to, so that's run up a pretty good tab. So yeah, he'll be here when we ask him to and do what we ask him to do, but he's not attending on a normal schedule basis.
Okay. So we bumped that up a little bit just to cover any anticipated, needs for legal counsel going forward. Utilities, left the same. Office cleaning and janitorial, actually, we needed to bump it up because it's $125 a week instead of, I think we were only looking at 12 months instead of looking at the actual weeks. So that is the actual number, what will be charged. Travel, marketing, and promotional materials, $1,500, left that the same. Printed materials, left that the same. Website, I think we're anticipating probably making our website a little bit more robust and.
Before we get too much farther, Mr. Scott, question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Chair and members of the board, yeah, I just wanted to point out that the goal and objective was to review the budget and determine where we look else. I think the committee made some recommendations based on what the budget line items, we have to be aligned with what we agreed to and presented to the city council. And since then, we've made those adjustments based on conversation, discussion. I think the next step we need to do is highlight the changes so that it would be clear to the members of the board and others, the adjustments we made so that, everybody will be able to follow that. And then, last but not least, this is the first time that I think, since I've been on this board, we actually began presenting plan versus actual. So if you look at the report, we are presenting the actual spend per quarter. So the fact that you can map that back to the approved budget, the proposed budget is probably going to reflect the true values, financial values for the rest of this fiscal year. And so with that, I yield back to you, Madam Chair.
So we're on the website, so we were looking at possibly amping that up a little bit, and I think we have an RFP out for the website hosting and doing the website, so, we'll see how that one goes. Signage, we're $3,500. Obviously, with the departure of the chamber, we will need to change our sign out on top of the building, so that's probably gonna take up that entire amount. I don't know how, going forward, if that needs to be an action item on our agenda for next month.
Just to this.
Okay.
If it's, anything exception to the budget or whatever that we don't have a budget, we need to take action.
Memberships and dues, 5,000, subscriptions, it changed $500. Subscriptions changed $500. Trade shows and sponsorships, we left that 0. Marketing expense, we left it the same. Tourism and marketing, we, decreased that by 25,000. Capital costs, remained at 5,000. Improving, I can't read that little word in there, but. Property improvement renovation, we put 380,000 in that. This does not mean that we need to spend that, but that's what we're anticipating having to do some property improvements.
Okay.
Driver business incentives, they had budgeted 730,000, going back, looking at their 2 or 3 years prior. The former boards never reached that amount, so we decided that it would be safe to cut it in half and relatively in half and make it 350. So those numbers just basically went to the row above into the improvements and renovation column or row. Vocational Tech Center, we still are not clear on this line item. We don't know where this came from, so we're still looking into that $50,000. We don't know if it's something that needs to go forward. And Nicole, I would look to you for historical, if you are aware of any of that.
Is this the money we were making available for people to get their CDL license?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I do know that JEDCO would help provide funding for CDL drivers if they lived in the zip code of Jasper. They could help, they would fund half of it, and then when they completed, they'd fund the other, but the money went to Lamar Port Arthur for the cost of that. So that could potentially be that. If they just, maybe they set money aside for it.
Well, you aware of any other programs that we had, that weren't associated with the grant money that we had?
It's that, and then that True grant, you know, the one we got the check back for to turn in, but I don't think that's that.
That's probably
But
the
this
CDL
could
license.
probably be what they put aside that they would help out with CDL drivers.
Sure.
So,
We can research that, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what that is.
okay. The facade program left at 50,000. Job training, this would apply for Cheyenne or the new, director, if they need to have additional training. That we bumped that up to 30,000 from 20,000. Property maintenance, which is the mowing and gates and things like that, from 20,000 to 25,000. And then payroll expenses. So
Okay.
I will say at the bottom where it says net income, it says negative 75,000. I will say that there's the interest CDs, tax receipts, those things are definitely going to need to be changed because they're going to be more. So I don't anticipate us being in the negative.
All right. Appreciate it.
And I want to thank y'all for coming to the finance committee meeting, Keith and Jim, and Cheyenne was there too. So I appreciate y'all spending time doing all that work. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, and Pam, I know there's a lot of work going on the records, so do you have a report?
Just to update, we were kind of waiting, you know, we kind of knew what records we had. We have some in our file cabinet, we had keys ordered for that to lock that up. We moved records into this closet, they haven't been locked yet. We were kind of waiting to see what kind of real estate we have of blank closets and stuff after the chamber move. And so we'll be moving all of that, but right now we have them locked up in the executive director's office.
Okay.
And so we'll be moving that. I actually started taking a class with TSLAC to kind of familiarize myself with what records have what retention schedule and all of that, and so I still haven't filed the papers yet. And of course, I will show you guys before I file anything, but just kind of getting my mind where it needs to be on what we need to do, because there is a lot of work. One thing that we have realized with the records is there wasn't much of a system, like we're having to literally touch every piece of paper. It's not just moving boxes from here to a locked place, because we have found, 2025 records in 2007. I don't know if maybe they just didn't get filed back correctly, or how, what the deal is, but to put it back in order, we're having to, so it is taking us time. And so we just appreciate your patience. Other than that, we're just, we're moving right along. It's just a time thing. And I will say that I'm thankful that Mr. Brooks offered that executive office to lock up those records, because they haven't been locked up. And Ms. Terria had brought up the last time about the privacy, and I just want, there are social security, driver's license, birth certificates, all kinds of stuff in those records, and they should have been locked up. So even though they're not locked up now, my mind, well, they are now in the executive office, but the quicker that we can get one of these closets, Mr. Brooks and I looked at one of the closets back there, we need to get a lock on it, and because one thing I didn't know, and Tina had brought up, is that wherever you have your records, you can't have a window. So I'm like, well, that hadn't been locked up in 30 years, so a window ain't gonna do anything right now. So as soon as we get a lock on that door back there, then we'll be able to move them back there and have them truly secure.
So I have a question, if you don't mind. When you said there was social security number, driver's license, and everything else, were those in association with reporting requirements of monies that were given out, or were they employee records, or what were they?
I'm not really sure, because the ones that I seen were just copies, and they were just filed. There was no file that went with it. It was just stuck in there. And so I don't really know what they went to, or what they were for. I just saw those types of records.
Something we might think about, it wasn't action tonight, so we can't take action on it, but if we are retaining social security numbers and everything else for contracts that have already been fulfilled, our contacts that are out of date, and I know last time we had a discussion, and I don't like to revisit issues, but if we're keeping personal records that are no longer needed, I would recommend that we expunge those, because those are personal records that are, the contract's already been fulfilled. There's no reason for us to keep those records. At least the personal data is what I was talking about.
Right, and I do agree, and I think that once we get it set up, because like, as of right now, we can't delete anything, destroy anything, until, because I didn't know this is all new to me. Like, there's a process to even shred a bill. Like, you can't just delete it because you don't need it no more. There's a process that you have to go through saying, I deleted this record, and it has to be signed off on.
And you have to have a policy.
Yes, so I am working on that, and that's just an update, y'all. It's just taking us a little bit longer than, I thought we were just gonna be moving some files, but whatever. It is.
No, I knew it'd be more detailed than that, and thank you for taking that on. It's, but I think eventually we'll get there, but eventually we're gonna have to determine the retention policy, and I know for historical purposes, people wanted to keep them forever. But there are just some records like personal data and stuff like that, we have no business keeping that.
Right.
Past the point of it being needed for a contract. So. Okay, the recruiting, we've already given a report that we're interviewing. Anybody else?
Well, and Mr. Brooks, we met with the Business Retention Committee,
Okay.
and we have some really good things that we think that is going to help with business retention. Thinking about doing a little campaign and reaching out to the businesses that are already here and seeing what, not even, can we give you money, but some of them might just need resources. Because us giving money is not everything that we're about. And so I think, LaQuinn and I, we talked about it, Mr. Brooks, and, where we've got a I don't wanna give it away yet because we don't have all the little, details and stuff, and so when we launch it, it's gonna be a really neat little program, and I think we're gonna really do something with it.
It's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be fun.
And I will take this opportunity, you know, in life, when you gain experience, and you always gain experience, I don't care how old you are, but especially when you're interviewing, for an executive director, and you hear, different people with different ideas, things that have worked. And that was one of the things that was brought up by more than one candidate, is not necessarily giving money away, but getting the investors with the business owners,
Yeah.
having those type of discussions and fairs and stuff like that was, you know, because let's face it, we have a limited budget, and there's some things we should do, and there's some things we shouldn't do. That doesn't mean that we can't be an advocate for businesses down and
We
bring,
can have a relationship with it.
and also, you know, bring investors, and get investors excited about the town too, and bring those two groups together. So, you know, that came out loud and clear, I believe, in the interviews that we were doing. So, you know, like I said, you always learn something when you go through the process. So I look forward to seeing what you're working on. Okay, I think that does it for the committee reports, unless I missed something. Do what?
That true grant, where we got the check back to take the city workforce.
Yeah, I do need to mention, and I'll turn this over to Nicole because she knows more about it than I do, but we were tasked, I believe it was Lamar College, right?
Lamar State College.
Lamar State College, we were doing some training programs through them. We were the administrator of the grant. There was $40,000 that was left unspent. And so they are gonna send us a check for that, and then we have to turn around.
I think it's only like $12,000.
Is it 12? Okay. Well, anyway, we're gonna receive a check from them, and it's not ours to keep, it's Maryland, we'll have to turn around and give it back to the targeted group that made the grants available to them.
Yeah, there was a true grant that was written by Dr. Stafford, and he had written one for Lamar Port Arthur, down for equipment at Lamar Port Arthur. And so JEDCO could be the fiscal agent of that funding. So JEDCO received that funding. Dr. Stafford took it and purchased 3 CDL simulators for the CDL program up here. He did not use all the funds, so he had to write the check back to JEDCO, and then JEDCO's gonna turn around and give that back to Texas Workforce, the funds that weren't used, so.
So it really never was JEDCO's money?
It was a pass-through.
It was that, we were the administrator of the grant program. There's money left over, they're gonna write us a check, and we're gonna send it back to the source, basically. Okay, if, we're gonna go over to next, for discussion and approval. Discussion, possible action, strategic plan committee. The only thing I have on that one is, I know we, appointed a strategic plan next week. Looking forward to getting a, executive director hired, to be able to kick that off. But we named some people on that committee, right, last week, last month? Okay, and I don't believe we've had a meeting there for that particular. But one of the things that I just wanted to talk about is, the strategic planning committee. As soon as we get the executive director hired and we get this committee going, we will need to reach out to the city, and we'll also need to reach out to the chamber. Because in my mind, a standalone strategic plan for just JEDCO is not the way to go. It needs to be a combined effort, and so we'll start meeting with the city once we get an executive director, and we'll start putting together. When we talked to the candidates, we told them that was number one priorities. The strategic plan we have is dated 2016. We desperately need a strategic plan in place, but we need to work with the city and the chamber to get that done. We do not. So we need to appoint one, that's probably why it was on the agenda. Okay? I need to be on that committee. Anybody else? Okay. Tina, anybody else? This will be, meeting with did you raise your hand?
Yeah, I'll see it.
Okay. Keith,
Every,
and then are you voluntold or you?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and then the executive director will need to be on this committee too, wherever that happens to be. So,
The executive, the new one.
no, that'll be the strategic plan committee.
You don't have any farmers in the building? Okay, I guess not. So we know where the fire's at. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Discussion and possible action for the sports complex. One of the things that I've heard ever since I got here is we have land acquired for the sports complex, and it is true, we bought some land, what was that? Ken, 3 years ago?
205 acres actually was purchased, same for the sports complex, and also there was additional 14 acres that was purchased along the highway, US Highway 190, that was kind of for like opening up where you can view it with signage and advertising. And I don't know if that's what part I saw report on, but this conversation maybe I made it thinking that we start looking at maybe just kind of clearing that a little bit, but we can start showing more the land in the back of the 205 acres. I visited with the contractor that's clearing the property for on the larger tract that was still purchased from the Jones family. And there's still a strip of land that they're intentionally leaving up right now that if it was cleared, you can actually see in behind that property. So we talked about it, and they was gonna go ahead and clear that, and I was gonna get with you, Robert, with you, and just see how that looked, and see if that kind of will suffice to maybe just throw up, put some type signage and kind of just advertise and for people to see that we do have this property in the back from the highway.
So here's what I was thinking, and I'm not expecting everybody to take action on this tonight. I mean, it's on the agenda that way, but I'm not expecting anybody to take action. But we have all in total about 240 acres.
Yeah.
Okay, we have 240 acres right now. That's sitting.
Let's say 220. Let's go back to 220. 220.
Okay. It's just sitting there, and I know we have a committee that's working on, sports complex, and if we get it done, then that's all great and wonderful. The election for that was held in 2009. The land was bought, if I'm not mistaken, 3 years ago, or getting close to 3 years ago now.
We're close to 3.
So that land is also adjacent to what I would call the industrial park. And I don't know how much of that would be needed for a sports complex, or whether the sports complex, I'll be honest with you, at this point in time, whether that ever even gets done. I was wanting this committee to start thinking about, what do we do with that land? Do we make it available for industrial growth if the baseball complex is not moving forward? In other words, do we let people know that land might be available for industrial development? And I'm not wanting to just take the land and sell it for anybody, that's not what I'm talking about, but for industrial development. Do we let people know that land, if somebody wants to move to Jasper and bring industry into town, that land is available and open for use? And I wanted to key that up for discussion. I do have it for action, but I don't know that I'm expecting that tonight, because this is new to a bunch of them. I'm not telling you the sports complex isn't moving forward, but I'm telling you that we're sitting on a bunch of land that's not helping the city of Jasper at all right now. And if an industry comes in, and whether we make that available through, real estate advertisement or whatever it is, we'll see what happens. It's one of those things where the baseball complex happens, fine, or sports complex. But if not, if industry wants to come in and use that land, we're not telling them it's closed off to them either. That's what I'm thinking. I'll open it up for discussion. Probably not right for taking action. But, Mr. Scott?
Yeah, so my question is, what is the goals and objectives of the sports complex committee? So what are you tasked to do?
I can answer that when we talked about keeping the sports complex committee, that we would be working with the established sports complex committee people. I don't know if any meetings are taking place, seeing if there was any options, because we basically always said that if that sports complex is going to be developed, it's going to be investor dollars, it's going to be contractors coming in. And so we wanted to keep our pulse on that and be a part of that if it was moving forward. I don't even know if y'all had a meeting with the group that's trying to make this happen. I'm just sitting here saying we have a lot of land that's sitting there. We're gonna be paying to maintain it. We're gonna be paying to mow it. We're gonna be paying for it with tax dollars to keep it up. And again, I'm not throwing a roadblock to a sports complex, but I'm also saying we have land that's available for use if somebody wants to move to Jasper for industry.
This is a point of clarity. I just want to make sure I understand. So the goal of the committee was not to determine how much it would cost the city to build a sports complex. The goal was to find investors to invest in a sports complex and everything associated with it. Is that accurate statement?
I don't know, and you're getting disagreement from the committee, so I'll yield the table to
Yeah,
you.
not in totality. The purpose of the original subcommittee was to put together, and we have worked extensively on this, but it's been idle since, the new board was assembled for JEDCO. Part of the goal of the committee would include these investors. It also would include a management company. The plan is proposed on paper, and it's huge. Nobody, the city of Jasper wouldn't be out anything, nobody would be out anything, none of us would have to do anything. I mean, it's a self-sustaining, proposition. Now, that's a big if. But and then this is to Mr. President's, remarks. The land itself is not an attractive piece of property. I mean, it's an odd shaped piece of property and with a lot of little nicks and crannies and nooks. And so, and there used to be a schematic of the property with all of the proposed layouts.
I think there still is.
Okay, and the whole point was this, it's not a, you can't look at it like a city park. This is an economic construction project. This is strictly for economic development for the whole community. Because this type of business, this type of industry, which is part of what they call the entertainment business, which is the largest business in America, this is the single largest component of entertainment this day and time in America, because thousands of families travel every weekend, and that's what this is. And the plan we have, the one thing I really like about it, and I'm like you, Bill, I don't know that we would ever be able to make it work. It wouldn't take long though to determine if we could or couldn't, or how we scale it back could make a difference, but this would be the absolute first full multi-purpose youth sports complex in America. Everywhere else you go, it's either baseball, softball, soccer, football, basketball, tennis, pickleball. This would be the absolute first, and part of our planning included visits with other communities. Well, first of all, the committee included every one of our local youth sports organization leaders. Then we expanded out and we visited with other communities from Tyler to Galveston and Houston. Those people would drive to Jasper every weekend if they could. So you're talking creation of scores of new businesses based off of that complex. I mean, it's a very wide spectrum to view, and you know, it's hard to grasp, but, it's a wonderful project, but the property itself is, the right people will have to put a lot of work into making it work, whether it's this youth sports complex, which I think we laid it out quite nicely, or anyone else.
So would the funding source be investors, or would the funding source be investors plus
It's either or.
JEDCO?
Either, well, it's either or, and JEDCO is not necessarily looking to fund the
Right.
project, yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah.
So the funding source would be
Ms.
investors.
McCroskey?
May I be recognized?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Hildebrand, from what I understand, this project has been in the works for like 15 years. From the beginning of the mention of a sports complex, I believe the city at first was gonna undertake a project like this. I don't know if you're aware of that, but the sports complex has been a long, long time that this has been talking about. Do you currently have investors to build this sports complex, Mr. Hildebrand?
We've had conversations with investors, but we've never asked for commitments. But let me back up and address your first comment, because there's no one in this town that has pumped more into Jack Youth baseball, Jack Youth softball since 1984, 85 than I have. So I know all of the conversations, I know all of the pieces. The city never undertook an idea of proposing a park like this or anything similar. There have been a lot of individuals who on their own undertook ideas. We approached, I say we as a group, but they approached property owners for possible land purchases to make this happen. And for a lot of reasons, one, the property owners either had no interest in selling, but for the most part, you know, and I'm gonna use hypotheticals, but their 2,000 an acre property, all of a sudden overnight went up to 12,000 an acre property. So, and a lot of it too was geared more towards, like, whoever was driving the bus. If they had a passion for softball and baseball, that's really where their focus was. So that, all of those past conversations were never, they were never comparable to what we're talking about now.
If I could respond, to the president's, thoughts, we are still maintaining that property, and it was purchased, and of course, JEDCO's funded by the taxpayer. And so I feel like that if the property just continues to sit there, based on conversations, that you have been involved in and things like that, I think there needs to be a commitment. If it's not, then I believe that we're missing opportunities where other businesses, as Mr. Grant spoke about, could use this property, regardless of if it's an odd-shaped piece of property. Businesses come to cities from all over the United States, and if it's tied up that we're using it just for a sports complex, is this property, can I ask Mr. Grant, dedicated to a sports complex, or is it open for other businesses to come there? The opinion of JEDCO is that is this dedicated to a sports complex, or can any business come there?
Well, I have a personal opinion, but I don't know that it's, to me, JEDCO purchases property. A lot of mixed emotions in this town about what it transpired and everything else. I think it was bought for the purpose, in some people's mind, to develop a sports complex. But in my mind, JEDCO purchased that land, and it's at JEDCO's discretion how that land gets used. That's my opinion. That doesn't stand for this board. I mean, I'm just one person out of now 15 people, but to me, we own a piece of property out there. I know there's a lot of people working, and I don't know if there's been any progress. Like the Quinn says, it's because of the board transition, there hasn't been any progress in that probably 12 months. But if there has been some progress, I'd like to know about it and hear about it. But other than that, in my mind, that land can be used for economic development.
To your point, I just don't want JEDCO or the city of Jasper or the citizens to miss out on an opportunity to put something else there that does create jobs, because that is the point of our EDC, of JEDCO, of all EDCs, is to create jobs. On conversations and hoping we get investors. Unless there's a commitment, I think this property should be available to be used for any business to come there that can create jobs. We have a 30%, above 30% poverty rate in the city of Jasper. It's one of the highest in Texas, and our people need jobs. So just in my opinion, if it can be used for something else, I think it should be.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I want to speak to her comment because, she makes a valid point, and no one has disputed that, not myself, not anyone prior to JEDCO. But this proposal, this planning is in the very early infancy stages, and I don't think it would be too far down the road before the committee now would have a feel as to whether we try moving forward, even if we scale it back. Let's say we take the 220 and we take the the east side of the property for a youth sports complex, and then the west portion, which borders the current airport industrial park, that be made available for other opportunities. But regardless of other options, it wouldn't take long for us to have a good feel as to whether we move forward or we just scrap the plan in total or we try to scale back on it.
Well, is there any way, then, that this group then can come and give a report at the next month's meeting?
How about the 2 months?
Okay, 2 months?
Yeah.
Because here's my questions, and I'm gonna go ahead and speak to anybody else, I'll recognize anybody else on the floor as well. Do we need the full 220 acres for the baseball complex? You mentioned some of that, maybe, maybe not. Do we need,
Well, the way it's designed now, it takes up pretty much the whole 220, but that plan is based on all of our youth sports, local youth sports organizations, as well as the opinions and the ideas that came from other towns, other cities. Like, everybody was asked, give us your wish list. And so that's what we did. So the baseball folks gave us their wish list, and it's not, if we just said money's not an issue, the wish lists are not unreasonable. They're really not.
no, I understand.
Yeah, so anyway, but, no one, I don't think anyone has advocated the last 2 years more for jobs than I have in this whole city,
No, I understand.
this whole town. So I like the idea of the sports complex, I really do, and I know what it can bring as far as revenue, and businesses to Jasper. It's more of an incubation type setup, and I'm not opposed to scaling it back, and I would be the first one to, when we reach the point and just said it's not doable, I'd be the first one to go.
Well, if we can, let's do this, Mr. Lieutenant, and, like I said, everybody else has questions, I haven't seen anybody else has questions. Let's get a report in 2 months, but let's address some of the issues that, how big is this project going to be? What kind of investment dollars are we gonna need? What kind of return on investment are those investors looking at? In other words, are the kids gonna have to pay to play there? I mean, what are we talking about as far as, investors, they want a return on their investment most of the time. So how do they get that return on investment and whether it's affordable or not? And if y'all can come back in 2 months, because, one of the things I was thinking of is, if we start really going out and looking at businesses, and you said it yourself, and one of the things this town has to do some self-reflecting on, people are willing to turn loose of property in this town,
Yeah,
and that's an issue.
it is.
And if we're gonna grow and we're gonna bring people in, we've got to be able to secure land.
And I will say this too, and to a point, it pains me to say it, but it's the truth of the matter. Y'all picture Jasper, Texas. And I can see it in my mind every time I close my eyes. Without restrictions, without guidance, without zoning, without a lot of things, this town is just like throwing marbles out the window. And so even the areas that could be used for development, they're scattered, they're sparse, they're in between other things, so there's not a lot of attractive areas, so we have to really start nailing things down and doing some proper planning, what I call 7 Ps, and I'll explain that to Keith King, if you want to go later. I'm not gonna say it here.
Sure.
But anyway, it's gonna be a challenge, but it can be done. Anyway,
Okay, well, let's take that as an action item. Anybody else on the subject have anything to say? Okay. Thank y'all for that discussion. That's just something that, I just wanted to bring it up.
sure.
Get us to thinking that way. Okay, discussion and possible action for replacing the copying and printing machine. As everybody well knows, the chamber is moving to the new location. They were the ones that were paying for the printer. So that is their printer, they're taking a lease and taking the printer with them. So have we gotten estimates and bids for the printer?
Yes, in your report packet, after the minutes, so 1, 2, 3, or the 5th page is the first page of 3 proposals from 2 different companies. Our first page here is a lease price from Texas Document Solutions. This is the exact machine that was already in here. The bottom line lease price is $140 per month. I would like to have a 3-hole punch in there so that I don't have to do an ab workout to make your board packets. Not required though, if we take that out, the stapler and the hole punch is like a 2-in-1 thing on all these options. That's an additional $20 per month from Texas Document Solutions. And then if you look at the Platinum Service Agreement, that's the price per copy. So we go through about 2,500 black and white copies and about 500 to 750 color copies per month. I did get an email from the sales rep this morning letting us know that there was a March Madness price. The lease price would drop down to $120 per month, and everything else would stay the same. So the bottom line on this one would turn out to be, say, $120 to lease it plus the 40, so actually $140 a month. And then if you were to take, can somebody pull up their calculator and do 0.075 times 25, or 750, and then 0.15 times 2,500, that's how much the price per copies. I don't have that math readily available, but I do want to bring your attention over to the next proposal, which is.
Well, can I ask some questions?
Yes, sir,
on
go
that?
ahead.
So I'm assuming when they're charging you 75, that means they're paying for the ink and everything else. right?
Yes, so they are covering the ink, and it says here, includes all parts, labor, and supplies, excludes paper and delivery charges. So there are delivery charges.
So the only thing on top of this that we would be paying for is the vendor.
Yes, and the delivery charges to bring in the supplies and the parts
Okay,
to
thank
be changed as needed.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions on this one?
So your numbers, would be
Oh, thank you.
$37.50 for color for 500
Okay,
and $37.50 for black and white.
okay, so can you now do 30 times 2? Thank you. Plus 140.
215.
So that comes out to $215 per month, with the March Madness price. So, and then behind this one is a Jasper area reference list. This is who, this is a list of businesses that this company does service in the Jasper area. The next page, this is the, I guess the manual or the at a glance of a different machine. The sales pitch that was given to me on this machine, the Konica Minolta, this is the machine that most EDCs use. I don't know how to verify that information, that's what the salesman told me. And so it has the technical specifications, and then if you'll keep on going through here, it just gives you more information about that, but eventually, you get to a proposed solution here. And on this, with this company, whole bunch. Their bottom line price, the monthly lease investment here is $134.55. And that includes 3,300 black and white pages per month at a cheaper price than the first pitch, 152 color pages per month at, again, a lower price, so that's